in our castle waiting for war to come to us.
Well, what are we going to do about it?
Perhaps the presence of a dragon will sharpen minds round these parts.
The war will be fought. Many will die. The significance of Viserys' intentions died with him.
Good. To war, then.
This war will not be won with dragons alone, but with dragons flying behind armies of men. Fear what they've begun.
Soon they will not even remember what it was that began the war in the first place. When the desire to kill and burn takes hold, reason is forgotten.
This senseless war will end.
Will never prevail.
Not like this.
We have given the war to the dragons.
Winner next to another. Winner next to another winner.
And welcome to another episode of House of Dragon, Season 2, Episode 3. And it was a bit of a wiener episode. We'll get into that in just a second. First of all, let me bring in my regular retrobates, representing America.
What does that mean? Oh, yeah. I just thought Lance, I could not, like, after this episode, not have that opening.
Yeah. No, it's quite appropriate. Good thinking, Batman. Good thinking.
Yeah.
Glad you
I made
made
you some stills too, buddy.
Talking of wieners, it's Leroy.
Hey, let me call a wiener, jackass.
How are you, sir?
I'm good. How you doing?
We love you. Yeah, I'm all right.
This show's getting better and better. I like this episode.
Wow.
It's a lot.
We're gonna get into that. Don't worry. We're gonna get into that. Got all sorts of stuff lined up for everyone today, including some new things. Anyway, what I'll do is I'm gonna run through the plot pretty quick, and then we're gonna go through the episode in sections, just like we've been doing with our Band of Brothers stream. For those people who've been watching that, I can't remember. Did we do this 1 hour later last week, or not?
I think that's why I was an hour late because I got messed up on the time zone. So I think it was an hour later.
Was an hour later? I wonder if I should go back to that because it'd be good to get, like, you know, a larger live audience, if possible.
Also, Lance, with the power technology, I made just one slideshow instead of 3 mini ones, so it's just one continuous slide.
I wonder what was going on. These lights have gone into like major Christmas party. Sorry, I was thinking, what is it? What is
4th of July, America.
Happy 4th of July, guys.
A couple more days, man.
Wow.
Hey, before you
it's
go,
not the 4th of July yet. It's the 1st of July.
Boy,
man,
ready.
I just want to say I have 2 things to announce. Today is my parents' 51st wedding anniversary.
Oh, how lovely.
51 years.
Wow, nice, man.
And also, I've sold, for the month of June, I've sold 833 copies for the month of June.
Whoa.
Wow, nice.
You've sold 830 copies in 1 month?
Yep. I haven't seen numbers like that since the fall and winter of 2021.
Damn, man. I've got a book on Amazon that hasn't even sold that many copies since it's been on there. And it's been on there like a couple of years.
I got 13 books.
Oh, no, you got plenty of books, but like, are you saying, but that's one book that sold that many copies, or is that?
No, that's total.
total.
Yeah. Total.
Oh, okay.
More nice sold.
No,
one book has sold over 227 copies.
Well, that's good. I've got about, I think it's 11 or 12 books. I think I've got something like that. I need to check. Anyway, all right. Episode 3, The Burning Mill. I take it you've got stills ready. Okay, cool.
Yes, sir.
So this episode is directed by Geeta Vasant Patel. And
it's not Danish.
Well, I think it's Indian, I think you'll find. Patel is Indian or Pakistani name. It's not a big name in Denmark. And I'm Danish, so I should know. But we'll get to all of that in due course. So now I had all these links open for pages.
Oh.
And then I got into my whole fracas with Google Play this afternoon.
Oh, jeez.
Entertaining call to customer services, which of course I live streamed. It's available on my channel if you want to see it. Yeah, no, I had more people watching that than this. What the you know what I mean? So it's amazing what people are entertained by, isn't it? You say you're live streaming a customer services call, people jump on because they like to watch the fun. So we'll I'm going to do a rundown of the story, but yeah, Geeta Vasant Patel directed this episode, and David Hancock is the primary writer on the script. So, two clans clash: the Blackwoods and the Brackens in the Riverlands. Insults are exchanged between two young groups of boys, one of whom has just been dubbed Knight. We see the feud beginning. This is all to do with what's happened with one house vying for one king, one declaring loyalty for, queen rather, another. So of course these two houses have fallen out. They're fairly minor houses in the Riverlands. We then cut to the aftermath of battle. That same young knight who traded in insults now lies dead on a field full of corpses. And there's a burning mill behind them, which we saw earlier. Hence the title of the show, The Burning Mill.
That's a lot of bodies, man.
Yeah, we'll talk about all of that stuff later.
Reminds me of Spartacus.
Race through the plot. We cut to Dragonstone. The twins are being buried. There's a conversation around how to divert the war. It's been discovered Alicent has sent a raven. They feel that it might be asking for peace. Rhaenyra rejects this offering. And we cut to a High Council meeting. The Hand is late attending this meeting. He arrives late. And there is much discussion. The warring houses fall under Lord Tully. The Riverlands are the key to the war, says everybody. And Harrenhal is key to the Riverlands. So plans are made to strike. And the king declares that he wants to go. He wants to go on the attack, take his dragon to prove himself as a warrior. And that's much of the discussion in this scene. And they talk about the Blackwoods and the Brackens and so on. And by the way, there's an interview with the actor who plays the king on a podcast. So we've got to try and get it. We've got to try and get him. Anyway, plans are made to strike. And we cut to Dragonstone again. Mysaria has come back, and it's revealed that she did come back after all to warn the Queen. It's a little bit confusing in the dialogue there because there is a line from the Queen where she says, you warned me just in time, but we know that she didn't get back in time. So that's a bit odd. There wasn't like she came back and did something that made a difference. And if there was, that hasn't been properly illustrated. Love the shot with the sunset, with these two talking. There it is. She suggests punishing the Hightowers for what they've done. Meanwhile, the Queen and Princess Rhaenyra have a scene to themselves. She's to be sent away to look after the young boys, to raise them as if they were her own. So that's a scene after this one. And it's clear that the princess doesn't want to go, but it's said that she's going to be safer there. So that's this scene here. I like this because this character is getting a bit more to do, but we'll come back to all that stuff.
Yeah.
Cut to a dragon in a storm approaching a castle. Prince Daemon is flying above Harrenhal. He lands with his dragon on Harrenhal, and we go into Harrenhal, and it's a castle in a really huge state of disrepair. The Lord of Harrenhal sits on a broken throne. The doors are broken. The towers are falling apart. Now, this used to be the stronghold of Larys, known as Clubfoot, who's now, of course, in the Red Keep. But the Lord there claims that he's no master of his and says that he murdered the people who came before him, or he heavily implies that at least. But as he says, the castle is in something of a state of disrepair. Now, this is Simon Beale, I think this actor's name is, or Sir Simon Beale, as it says in the credits. You'll note that Ian McKellen never insists on having his name Sir Ian McKellen in credits, and you'll note that Dame Judi Dench does not insist on having her name Dame Judi Dench in credits of films and things that she's in. Just saying. So some people like, announcing that in front of their name. Other people are not. So then Damon says, well, we must bring it to a state of repair. Did like that line. Wants to speak to Lord Tully. We're informed that Lord Tully is old, can't move without losing his bowels. He's basically decrepit. Perhaps the presence of a dragon will sharpen minds around these parts. That's a line we've just seen in the trailer. The dialogue in this scene is absolutely delicious.
Your Grace.
Then, there's this brilliant bit. The throne. What is the throne? The throne. It's a chair made of swords. Then we cut to back to the Red Keep, and we're introduced to Prince Seguin, or Seguin, sorry. This is played by the actor Freddie Fox. He is a son of the Hightowers, so he's the brother to the would-be queen. He's quite surly with his comments towards Sir Christian, clearly implying that he assented quickly in the royal household, and sort of implies that he knows things. Sir Christian is about to take an expedition into the Riverlands to go to Harrenhal. So we know that conflict is coming. He asks the Queen for her favour. What does that mean? It means a romantic gesture, effectively. So when a queen or a princess gives their handkerchief or some sort of parchment or something to a person fighting on their behalf, it's supposed to be good luck. Sometimes it can have romantic intentions, sometimes not, but it's mainly a good luck charm. We then cut to a council meeting in Dragonstone, where all of the military men are arguing over the course of action with the Queen. She's surrounded by fools, basically, and they're basically at a state of indecision. And they're trying to force her to take one course of action or another. At one point, they suggest sending her away so they can conduct the war themselves, which she informs them would be treason.
Yeah.
We then cut to a scene with the Sea Snake, Lord Corlys, and Princess Rhaenyra Targaryen. It's kind of like sort of a final goodbyes moment before the war. It's actually quite a cute scene. We then after that scene, so this is the scene with the two of them. Love these actors.
How romantic.
Yeah. After this scene, we cut to our princess departing. And there's lots of information in this scene, sort of diplomatic missions that she's also got to achieve. She's also given 4 dragon eggs to go with her, which is a huge responsibility. The little son wraps his hand around the Queen, clearly doesn't want to go. Brief conversation between the two princesses, a reminder of Lady Jane, of our pledge. Other house loyalties. Fantastic shot. Love that shot. Probably done in Spain or Portugal. So we then have Alicent Hightower talking with the Queen, as it were. Yeah, she's kind of the seer, isn't she? She's the one who can see into the future. They have a brief conversation. We cut to the king having his armor fitted. Clubfoot wanders in, and it is a result of this conversation that he not only influences the king's actions, but the king declares him his master of whisperers, which I think is a decision he's going to come to regret. We also notice that there's new knights, and then some of the new knights' bodyguards are actually his friends. And they seem to think that they can just like lounge around and get pissed and behave as they did before. And they're not taking their vows of chastity seriously, which the White Cloaks are supposed to do. It doesn't seem like any of the White Cloaks are taking these vows very seriously. We can tell that the king is not pleased about this because they're obviously they're distracted. They won't make good bodyguards. So we cut to going into town. There's a man gossiping. He claims to be the bastard brother of Prince Daemon. Says the blood of the dragon runs in his veins. I thought this guy was going to get killed. I absolutely thought. Yeah, I thought this was going to be the guy that the Master of Whisperers, Clubfoot, was going to kill because he said, "Cut the reeds, get rid of them." And this is a guy spreading gossip. So I thought that he was being set up to die. That may well be the case. We may well see that happen in another episode. Then the king enters with his guard and the squire, who has not yet been to bed with a woman. He takes a table and he buys drinks for everybody, which I think would make him a pretty popular king in King's Landing. Later, we cut to a brothel. He's now very drunk.
I made sure I spaced out the pictures, Lance.
Yeah, just as well. He's looking for a woman for the squire. And then in the brothel, he finds Aemon, or he calls him Aemon the Fierce. You still lie with your very first. His recommendation for the squire is actually his brother's favorite whore, who the brother clearly loves, I would argue. But the brother leaves, gets up without his eye patch. It's one of the few times we see him without his eye patch, and says, let her have this whore. One's as good as the next, which was very, very cutting. Queen Rhaenyra, now in Dragonstone. She looks at the Raven Scroll from Alicent and decides to read it. And it is indeed a sort of message entreating peace as a course of action. Meanwhile, the younger princess is on her dragon and spots Sir Christian, who was arguing with Sir Gawain, who appears to be riding ahead to go to the pub. And he decides this is not a good course of action, as is pointed out when they get spotted by dragons and the dragon chases them into the trees. And then he says, "No fucking inns from this point onwards." We cut to a council meeting at Dragonstone. There is now huge pressure to use their dragons because we know that armies are on the march. Armies have been spotified. One lord wants to leave immediately to fortify his lands. The Queen says, "I've heard your arguments. I will consider them." We cut to Harrenhal. Daemon thinks someone is coming into his room. He has a vision of a young Queen Rhaenyra, the dead prince who died last episode. Young woman informs him he will die in this place. We need to discuss that scene because I'm not sure which bits of it were reality and which bits weren't. It wasn't quite clear to me. We then cut to Dragonstone, and the Queen wants to have a meeting, a face-to-face meeting with Alicent Hightower. She discusses with Msare what is the best way to do this. She talks about a route with fishing boats that come in and out of the bay. Then you can be disguised as a nun. So she goes into the city disguised as a nun with only a single escort for company. She goes to the Holy Septum, which is like the Grand Cathedral in the city in King's Landing. You can literally smell the incense in this place when you're watching it. And indeed, she meets Alicent, who is quite surprised to see her there. And they talk to try and avoid war. And the most important thing that comes out of this is my understanding of this, and we'll talk about it when we discuss the story for this episode. My understanding of this scene is this: Alicent claims that the king did swear his mind, change his mind, and swears to her that it's true. And she repeats a line about the prince sitting on the throne instead of the princess. But when she says that line, Rhaenyra realizes that's a line from the Song of Ice and Fire. So I think actually what was happening was he was reciting lines from the Song of Ice and Fire, kind of as part of his dementia, because he was kind of dying. He kind of wasn't all there. And she misinterpreted those words to mean the prince should sit on the throne instead of her. And she says, "Look, you've misunderstood." And but Alicent is in too deep. She rejects this, says, "No, it's too late." And says, "You should leave before you're discovered." Boom, the episode ends. Dun, 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 dun. Wow. So quite a lot of stuff happens. And I'll tell you what, it's all good. Before we dive into the various topics, let's say hello to the chat. We now have 10 people watching currently. That's lovely. Northern Bastard would normally be here, but he's currently indisposed. We have Jamalama in the chat, Keith, of course, Nelson Monero. Good to see you. Aegon and Rhaenyra getting openly disrespected, indeed. We have Atom, we have Nix. Atom Gray is here. Awesome. So, yeah, welcome to the stream. If you haven't been here before, do please share the stream. Share the link. Do a post. Okay, so first of all, we're going to cover this particular topic.
You might be half the king your father was.
Tread carefully.
Or what?
As you can tell, I've been busy on my edit suite today. So, yeah, we're going to talk about story, script, world building. So, now, there's been some comments on social media about, House of Dragons, boring, nothing's happening. I want to see more fighting, all this kind of stuff. All of this is going to say...
It was boring.
Well, I'm just saying there have been some comments. There's been lots of praise, but some people are saying, nothing's happening. This is nonsense. These criticisms are invalid. This is what's called setup. Everything is being set up. You're getting invested in all these different people because a lot of them are going to die. And when they do die, you're going to really feel it. So this is all time well spent. This is all pieces on a chessboard being moved. We learn quite a lot about this. We learn where different people's loyalties lie. There's lots of character work. There's lots of little things being filled in about people. The biggest reveal of all is the sort of twist at the end about who the king wanted to be on the throne. So, Blue, you first. Do you think my assessment of that is correct?
Oh, and as I said, trying to catch up with you scrolling. It's the hardest part for me is only making 200 stills. I can make 1,000 stills in this episode, and just trying to space.
So many great shots.
Yeah, which I just said
we'll cover them. We'll cover them later. Fantastic. Let's focus on the story.
Like you said, Lance, I think a lot of people. I get House of Dragon technically is a different show than Game of Thrones, but when you go back and you watch the first 4 seasons, and so if Daenerys gets her dragons, there's not a lot of battle sequences. There's especially season 1. Season 1, I think we see one White Walker the entire first season, and even season 2, not much battle. So yeah, this is
season 1. There's a lot of people being murdered.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like this isn't this isn't Lord of the Rings. It's not like we're not going to have 8 episodes of 45-minute battles. And even Lance, when we do Band of Brothers, some episodes you only get 10 minutes of battle sequences. It's not every episode is action packed. I mean,
no, but the tension in this, it's all there. I just think it's great. Really, but yeah, just going to my question in terms of the Song of the Ice and Fire.
Oh,
you think that's correct? That the king basically was reciting something, rather than actually making a proclamation. Yeah, the prince should be king.
Well, because Viserys was my take on it. Viserys was what they call a dreamer, and like you said, he was so delusional. He thought he was talking to his daughter, not his wife. And of course, when he mentioned the name Aegon, Alicent thinks it's her son. No, he meant as Rhaenyra said, Aegon the Conqueror. He thought he was talking to when he was dying. He didn't realize he was talking to Alicent. That's why she says to Alicent, "Wait, he told you about that?" Because he never told Alicent about the song Ice and Fire. That's why Rhaenyra knows that so he thought he was reminding Rhaenyra about a Song of Ice and Fire, Aegon the Conqueror. Viserys essentially was seeing into the future, which we get into Game of Thrones later on, but with the White Walkers coming. That's what he was seeing. And he's basically warning everybody, these things are coming in 100 years from now. We have to get ready for this shit.
Leroy, what's your assessment on that?
I agree with both of y'all. I remember from the first season when King Viserys died, he was reciting the Song of Ice and Fire. He had no intention of changing his mind. He wanted Rhaenyra on the throne, and Alicent misunderstood. My thing is, if Rhaenyra thinks that, and Alicent is clearly right in this, if Rhaenyra thinks that finding out the truth is going to stop the war, no, it's too little, too late. I mean, Aegon already lost his son. He's in a what's the word? A vengeful mood. Aemon has never been sane. He's been in a vengeful mood since he lost his eye.
True.
Even though he regrets killing Lucas. And there are too many loyalties on both sides. I mean, they're too far in for this to end now. Even if everyone knew that King Viserys wanted Rhaenyra on the throne and not Aegon, it wouldn't make a difference. They still plan on usurping Rhaenyra and killing her and her children.
Yeah.
That Otto Hightower had that plan from the beginning. So I think Rhaenyra is becoming a little irritable and a little naive. I mean, I'm with her. Like, I don't agree with her counsel suggesting that they conduct a war without her, but she's not helping the situation. She's being very naive and very irritable that, you know, she's giving her councilman the excuse and the fuel to betray her.
Yeah.
So she needs to grow a pair, do what needs to be done. If she wants her throne back, she got to do some pretty messed up things. She got to fight. That's all there's to it. She got to fight. There's no weakness when it comes to war.
Yeah, and she gets that from her father, that was part of what the argument her and Daemon had, is that she's like her dad a lot. Her dad did not like to go into battle. He didn't want to fight. He was Viserys the peaceful. You know, she is her father's daughter.
Well, I found this online, which is quite useful. That's how, just because I do like a sense of geography, and this is a great interactive map that's online. I'll put the link in the chat for people so people can see it if they want. It's interesting to see. So, for example, Dragonstone. I didn't realize that Dragonstone was an island until now. I always thought it was a peninsula. It was on the end of like a crag, because what they've never done with Dragonstone is they've never gone all the way around it or done like a 360 shot.
True.
I always thought it was kind of on the edge of a, you know, maybe with a bridge connecting it to it. So technically maybe an island, but I didn't realize it was completely disconnected by sea. So that's news to me. And then Harrenhal, it's good to see, you know, the distance from King's Landing to Harrenhal. Here it is. And these are the Riverlands, all of these areas here. And these are all the different towns, and each one of these is basically, most of these belong to a different house.
Where's the north? Winterfell.
That's way up. Way up. There you go. Up there, look. So it's quite funny. This is almost shaped like the top of England, this bit. But yeah, so there's the wall. See? Oh, so it's oh my god, it's the scrolling on this goes out of control quite quickly. But yeah, so there's the wall up there. Great map. I've got a board game of Game of Thrones, and you fight it out over all these things with the different tribes and stuff. But there's Pentos, and Bravos, which of course we know these from the previous show. But yeah, so I mean, pretty much this story, in terms of like the geography that it's impacting, is really this kind of central area here. You know, we've had a little scene in Winterfell, but not much else. So yeah, let's cut back. That's a nice little set. I suspect they probably filmed that in Wales, I'm guessing.
I like the mountains.
Yeah, they may be real, they may be CG. Difficult to know, but that sort of countryside looks like either Wales or Cornwall to me. So I did a fantastic sort of digging around of where everything was filmed earlier, and I had all these links which I've now all lost, but we'll come to it. What other nuggets to do with the story? I mean, the dialogue was delicious in this episode. The dialogue was wicked. I knew this guy was going to die. This guy was like red shirt Star Trek guy for the episode. It was knew he was going to die.
At least he went out. At least he went out fighting like a G. Because for a minute I thought he was like a punk. I thought the other guys were trying to punk him. As soon as he draw his sword, He was like, "Okay, if it's a fight you want, let you feeling froggy, start leaping."
I
Well,
think
that argument resulted in that battle. Look
what's
how
the
many
thing?
dead people
That's
there
one
are.
criticism to you guys. Some people said that they wish they would have seen this battle. That would have helped out the episode. Which I'm like,
Nah,
yeah.
I don't think so. It's not. This is not a Spartacus kind of show. This is a show about politics. Believe it or not, it's politics, and you need to think of it as Dallas with dragons. That's what it is. It's almost like a Falcon's Crest, but set in a fantasy world with some dragons in it.
I never saw any of those shows.
Well, you're not missing anything, but the drama of those shows, the reason that those shows worked and had the huge followings that they had was all about the character work. And occasionally they'd go on location and film J.R. Ewing going to some massive oil rig or something, but it was all about, who was backstabbing who was sleeping with who. This was where all the drama came from. This was where all the interest came from. This is why people got invested. Battles are fun, but why? If we had seen that battle, what would have been the point? It's a battle between two houses we've never heard of with characters that we don't know.
True.
And who hate each other, like the Bloods and the Crips.
Well, we know enough. All they don't get on. That's it. So that's really, we don't really need to know anything else. I actually quite like the fact that you cut. The next thing it did is it cuts it, panning up. You see that guy's dead, and it's like, oh shit! From that one argument, all these people died. Thought that was kind of cool.
Well, Lance, like Leroy said, this is a very powerful scene between Rhaenys and Rhaenyra, because she does say, like, this is the part of war. Well, okay, first Aemon got his eye cut out. Okay, well my son's dead, but then now his son's dead, but then now we're coming to the point where generations are going to pass and people are even going to forget why this war started.
Yeah. Indeed. That's yeah. I mean, the dialogue in this episode is just wicked. My favorite line, and I had more than one, but my favorite line was Damon's throwaway when the guy says, "What's a throne?" And he said, "Well, it's metal and it's made of swords." Meaning that's the one. Yeah, that was just so funny. Yeah, so I mean, I'm so into this now. It's difficult to sort of fall on one side or the other.
Yeah.
Because there are characters on both sides that you like, and there are characters on both sides that you don't. I do know that I want the Clubfoot to die horribly.
Oh, I agree.
But
that little schemer.
But Blue, did you have a favorite line of dialogue in this episode?
Boy, I have to think about it for a second. Let Leroy go, because it said there's so much to unpack in this episode. It's hard to pick just one.
Yeah, Leroy, did you have a favorite line?
I have to say, I only saw the show once, but as far as the favorite line goes, I have to say when in this scene, if you go a couple back,
sure.
When Aegon said, "It's war," because you think after his son, he seems to have, this scene right here, he seems to have mellowed out a bit and gotten over his son's death, which I doubt. No parent can get over their child's murder.
Yeah.
So
he's just not vocal about it. He's not screaming like he was last episode.
Yeah. But he said it's war because, and you can't blame him. It's all about vengeance now. He wants vengeance, and even though everyone is trying to tell him, you can't go on the battle, we can't risk losing you. I think again he's trying to be a leader, and leaders lead from the front. They don't lead from the back or sitting in comfort. They lead by example. I think he's trying to do that, but it seems that people, including his brother, are trying to talk him out of it. It's like, come on, man, you're a king. Act like it.
Yeah.
There's people with competing objectives on each council has got its strong people in it and it's weak people in it. The funny thing is that Alicent's / the King's group at the Red Keep, they've got rid of most of their best people already. So their council is weaker than it was.
Thank God Otto Hightower is gone, man, because I really hate his butt.
Well, yeah, but he was a good strategist, though. It doesn't matter whether you liked him or disliked him. From a strategist point of view, in terms of making sure the king didn't act rashly, that's a man you want in your council. Then you also had the captain of the guard, the older guy. He's also gone because he was taken off because of the murder of the prince. So that means that the security around them is even weaker now because the people around them are less experienced. That point is made quite strongly in that episode.
I agree. There, see, Rainey says that. Look, Otto Hightower never would have allowed this.
Yeah,
you know, which she's not wrong. He does want peace. I mean, he can be conniving, but him and Alicent don't want this war.
Yeah,
but
and
man, I kept that line. That's probably my favorite line in the entire episode, right there. What Rainey says to her.
Yeah, there's no war so hateful to the gods as a war between kin. Yeah, it was a good line.
You know, Toby Keith wrote a song in which the first lyric begins, "Sometimes I think war is necessary, but I pray for peace on earth every night." And that line from that song fits this episode perfectly. I mean, really, most people involved do not want war like the Hightowers and Rhaenyra, but
indeed, no,
it's too little, too late. That's why Rhaenyra is starting to annoy me because she needs to start. At least Aegon is trying to act like a leader, act like a king, and doing what needs to be. Rhaenyra is
but then he gets pissed and goes off and hangs out in brothels instead. He's misled, isn't he?
Yeah.
Rhaenyra
allows himself to be misled.
Rhaenyra is being annoying. She still hopes that there's peace. I mean, that hope is long gone. That hope ended when her son got killed, and it ended when her husband / uncle killed Aegon's son. So any chance of peace is done. She needs to start acting like a ruler and start kicking some ass.
Lord Grover Tully is a flaccid old fool.
That was funny. I like that. That was real funny.
Definitely, you're right, Leroy. I think what changed for Rhaenyra is, like, you know, she wasn't expecting a 4-year-old to get his head cut off, and I think it's just one thing being like, when she said, "I want Aemon, want his head," but then when it comes down to now we're killing kids, it's like your mindset changes. Like, man, you know, I was pissed off that you killed my son, but also I didn't want to kill a 4-year-old at the same time. Like, and that's why she's so hesitant right now for it's like because she's seen how
what's going to happen though.
Yeah,
I mean, she knew what kind of man her husband / uncle was. What did she think he was going to do?
Well, that's why that was a powerful scene last episode. Like Daemon, you know, because she didn't realize how Daemon is, which is, you know, just shows how naive people can be. Like you know, Daemon hasn't changed at all. He's the same guy he's always been.
Yeah, I hear that. Yeah, well, there's quite a lot of other information in here regarding the story. We know, for example, that the strongest connection that Eye Patch has, they've all got similar names. It gets so confusing. But
Aemond,
yeah,
Aemon, Aegon. I forgot Aegon's sister wife.
Eye Patch Prince, I call him. His strongest love is for his whore, which I hate using that word, but
well, that's what they called him back then. I mean,
I know.
They still call him that today.
It's within context of the story. I get that. I just don't like the word. But anyway,
I can relate that because I've had some questionable love interest myself. So
sure. Well, that happens when you go to those jiggly places, Leroy. You got to avoid those clubs. But yeah, so it is interesting that he's very emotionally detached from his family the whole time. The only time we see him have an emotional attachment is to that woman, which I thought was really interesting. Makes that dynamic really interesting. I'm glad that we got a bit more with these two princesses. It's nice that they got
Daemon's daughters.
Yeah, Daemon's daughters. It's nice that they got 2 decent scenes They've got to do a bit of acting because they're both good.
Yeah.
They both got their own scenes, and they also got a nice scene together because, of course, the girl gets the cool scene when she's attacking on the dragon.
I thought you were gonna die on that scene.
Really?
No,
Wow.
I wondered if another dragon might turn up, but yeah, I thought that they're probably not going to do that again. Not so soon.
See, I thought maybe she was going to blow fire and kill them all because right now they're at war. Both sides are at war, and I'm like, she's leaving the enemy alive.
Now these guys are going by boat, right? So on that boat, this boat is like a cash prize because on that boat are 4 dragon eggs.
You're right.
2 sons, and the princess, and also I think 2 baby dragons that are not.
Yes.
She called them something else. Their growth status. I forget, younglings or something like that.
Yeah, because she's saying that the trade in the other one wants a dragon for her army. Basically,
yeah,
so she's trading a dragon for troops.
Dragon for troops, right? So imagine if that boat gets attacked and destroyed. Yeah, right, or captured even.
Well, Lance, we're going to see it. The House of the Dragon is the fall of the dragons. That's the point of this show.
Yeah. Well, I think most of the dragons are probably going to die. Couple of other interesting things as well. There was the dragon that was restless, that was out to sea, and
sea smoke.
Yeah, Mysteria comments maybe he's lonely, something like that, which was quite interesting. This character we hadn't met yet, had we? The Master of Harrenhal.
No.
But we'll come on to the characters and the actors in a little bit.
Yeah.
We want to say anything else about the story? Any other Easter eggs you spotted or bits of information that you think are quite important going forwards?
It was good to see the younger version of Rhaenyra.
Oh yeah,
I love that actress.
Yeah,
she was
Millie Alcock.
Yeah,
so
she
good.
wasn't going to come back.
I mean, I like the older Rhaenyra, but I would have been quite happy for Millie Alcock to play that role the whole way through.
Yeah, it's the problem with the time jumps. They had to age her up.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
But she was so good. When she had gone, I was like, whoa, where's she on? Where's she gone? And I was like, oh, now I've got to get used to this person being that character. It's kind of annoying, but yeah, she's got a great career ahead of her, I'm sure.
I heard she's going to play Supergirl.
I could see that.
See that? Yeah, I can see that.
Definitely.
So there's a lot of minutiae about the subtle things that are set up within the councils themselves. If you listen to the different bits of information, we know that one guy on the Dragonstone Council, I forget the character name, he's more concerned about defending his own lands and he wants to leave, like immediately when he realizes they're under threat. The introduction of Freddie Fox's character is interesting, but we'll talk about him in the next section. There's other tensions that are set up between other people in the council scenes when the guy from the house, the powerful house that Casterly Rock Lannister, the House Lannister guy, puts down the other guy, puts down the Maester, which link in your chain is the one about the tactician. Stuff like that was really nice, So there's just a couple of lines, but it sets up really good tension. We get so much of that in the Acolyte, of course, every episode.
I said again,
this in the Acolyte.
So I've got a special video coming up just for that.
Did you play that parody I sent you?
No, I don't think I have. Maybe I should put it on.
Yeah, it's funny.
I'm gonna say every time, guys, I see it. My Christmas present is this table. I want this table so bad.
Yeah, Aegon's sister is the seer. Mysteria proves she's a hustler. That's very true. Oh, Darth, I think you said you were going to come on today. You talked about coming on today. If you want to come on this episode, let me know, mate. I'll send you the link via. I think you're on my Twitter, aren't you? So I can send it to you there, or email even.
Yeah.
Let me know if you want to come on. Yeah. So that's accurate to historical events. Yeah, the dreaming. Let's talk about that dream sequence. So, who is the woman who says to Daemon, "You're going to die here"?
I think they mentioned her I think her name begins with A. Ali something. I was watching.
But who is she? I was kind of a bit lost. I was like, because at one point it looked like the actress that played the younger Alison Hightower, but it's not her.
No.
So is it the young witch of the witch that we see in Game of Thrones?
People who read the books would know this. Unfortunately, we're not. All three of us aren't book fans. But...
No, well, I haven't read the book, so I'm just working with what's on the show. He thinks it's Alice. That's a great shot, isn't it? That's a great shot.
Yeah,
that would have been filmed in Spain. That location. Yeah, one of the film locations I found out they used was this castle, right, in Spain, and I had it on Google Earth and everything. I've bloody lost it. That's all your fault, Google Play. Anyway, and you could only get to it by helicopter because the path up towards it was unsafe. So they had to helicopter the crew in and out. And they decided not to use it after they'd first filmed there. But I can see I had some photos of it, and I can see where they CGI'd a castle on top of it, basically, to sort of make it.
Lance, I am curious because when we get to Game of Thrones, Daenerys does get 3 dragon eggs. I wonder if these eggs at some point will be in this show to lead into Game of Thrones eventually.
Yeah, because there's 4 eggs there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so 3 of them could be her 3. That's true. Yeah, that's interesting. Maybe one of them gets like cooked for breakfast, kind of thing.
Probably delicious.
I don't know. Not sure. I don't know. You need a big frying pan for that, though, wouldn't you? You need a big frying pan. So she was sitting in the room when Damon interrupted the dinner. Yeah, that whole sort of sequence. Someone's trying to break into his room, and he's barricaded his door with swords. You can see also the door is like really like decrepit. There's a massive gap between the bottom and the floor, and it's a really interesting dream sequence, and I was like mining it for information. But that's the prediction, that Damon is going to die in Harrenhal. Now, I wonder if he'll die defending it, or if he'll die in the future, he'll just die there. That's interesting. So I don't think Matt Smith will contract himself for too many seasons. So I suspect that he probably will die certainly by the end of season 3, if not by the end of this season. This character was interesting. Now, do we think there's any validity to his claim, or is this just gossip?
It's possible. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he's trying to spread a rumor, because if he knows just to claim something like that is death, why I would have kept my mouth shut. I don't know why he's.
Yeah. I mean, but it's like everybody knows him, so I felt he was like a direct reference to the reeds that were whispering in King's Landing, that the king then said to the whisperer, well, you should tend to the weeds then, have them cut. So I literally thought, he was going to be chatting at a table, and then suddenly like a knife was going to go through his throat or something, and somebody was going to be saying it's good not to spread rumors and wander off. But I'm kind of glad they didn't do that, because it's always good to sort of leave me guessing. Instead, the king comes in drunk, which on a drinking binge, which I wasn't expecting to see.
Yeah, he is the entire time making fun of his brother, so just teasing him, and just his brother cares about one person. You're busting his balls, and everyone's laughing at him, and like, all right, dude.
Yeah, he's got good qualities. Like, he cares about the people, buys them all a round of drinks, for example.
Yeah.
So he's not like Joffrey never would have done that. But yeah, for him to talk down to his brother like that was terrible. And now I wonder where this was filmed. This particular location.
Yeah, somewhere in Google there was they did say like where I looked up where season 2 was filmed. I've been reading that like 6 months ago.
Well, I've got the interior locations are shot at the Warner Brothers studio, Watford, which is about 30 miles that way. And then you've got several locations in Wales, including quarries and things like that. So Dragonstone is there's a quarry place that's in Wales that doubles for it.
Yeah, I found this land. You know those locations. Probably says Cornwall, England, Derbyshire, England, Surrey, England.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we'll show you a few of them. Let's have a look. So these are some of the locations. Still kind of comes under story, doesn't it? That are used in Wales. So I think that scene is from season 2. I think that was from the second episode. So this granite quarry doubles for Dragonstone. So there you go. And then this location doubles for Harrenhal, with obviously lots of CGI and stuff stuck on the top of it. So this is where they filmed some of the cavalry guys riding around for season 2. I don't think we've seen this location yet, but lots of prop corpses were spotted all over the place. So there's presumably going to be some kind of battle there. That's a very cool location. That I love those bridges. And then we have Anglesey. So this is a very famous location. This lighthouse and Lord of the Tides. So it's supposed to have appeared there. And then also this beach in Anglesey. A load of cavalry were gathered up on this beach. Shot of pier not included. And then this beach, which is also nearby. I think this might be the beach that was used to discover the body of the dragon. Do you remember? Might have been this beach.
Yeah, that was the first episode.
Yeah, because these dunes right behind it look pretty similar. Even though that location did feel quite warm, but it possibly could have been lighting. But I think that was here. Does definitely looks like it, because there was a shot of all the fishermen further back, looking back towards the beach, and it really looked like this. So yeah, there you go. Northern Bastard is I think that first word is
definitely
deliberately delusion. This character claiming to be a Targaryen. I recognize him as well. He's in Afterlife and that David Brent movie. So that landscape from above looks fully CGI. All of those stills, by the way, they're just real locations with no CGI in whatsoever. Mm-hmm. So
like the only places in New England, the only place in England I've ever been to was Scotland and London. And
I love that. The only place I've been to in England is Scotland. Scotland is not in England, Leroy.
I know. Well,
people would crucify you for saying that. England is below Scotland. Scotland is above it. That's a bit like saying the only place that I've been to in Texas is Arizona.
You know what I mean, Lance.
Well, I do now.
Yeah, I've been to Scotland. I've been to London, and I've been where I was stationed. I was stationed in Mildenhall in East Anglia. So,
oh yeah. That's a nice part of the UK. Very flat.
It's very nice. I mean,
lots of Air Force bases, lots of nice pubs.
Yeah, but Scotland.
Scotland's beautiful.
Yes. Well, where I was at the Stirling Bridge, the William Wallace Monument, I had a blast over there.
Oh yeah, and you got the castle there, the really nicely preserved castle as well. Did you see that funny William Wallace statue that someone had built?
That looked like Mel Gibson? Yeah.
Yeah, it was like
that was the whole reason why I went there was for Braveheart. I watched Braveheart the night before. Then I flew out there, and the movie does not do the real, and all the battles that took place in the movie, the Battle of Falkirk, Bannockburn, and Stirling Bridge. I went to those places.
Yeah. Well, Stirling Bridge is completely, that whole battle is totally inaccurately depicted.
Right.
They should have. I mean, there's no bridge in the battle for starters, and the whole reason that the British got slaughtered was because the Scottish were on the other side of the bridge, and the bridge
was like a wooden bridge.
Yeah, it was a wooden bridge. They came across in a column of 4, and the British and the Scottish were like attacking them as soon as they got over the other side. They weren't going to let them like form up and then. So now these locations are in Spain and Portugal. These buildings. So where you've got exterior locations like that, there's a lot of and these streets, for example. So there was no filming in Dubrovnik because I didn't think it was Dubrovnik. I wanted to check, and all the interior like streets and stuff. These are all locations in Spain, and they did do a bit of filming in Portugal, but mostly in Spain. There was also some filming in the Peak District at this location. It's very beautiful. There you go. That's a very famous location.
Where in the UK is all this?
Where?
Yeah.
Well, a lot of the filming took place in Wales and the southwest. The Peak District is further north, but south of Scotland. So, because it's in England. Yeah. So, yeah. Okay. Well, anyone want to say anything else about the story? Melvin used to live.
I thought it's well written.
Really good dialogue. Really good dialogue.
Yeah, I thought it was well written, and I can't. Like I said, I'm not interested in the CGI. I like the acting.
Yeah, but we're coming on to the acting in a minute.
I can't wait for all the fight scenes to start. But so far the show is. I'm liking this better than the Game of Thrones because I didn't like Game of Thrones because just too many good guys were getting slaughtered.
Oh well, you might want to temper yourself there because that's coming. All right, let's move on to this.
You're afraid, sir? Worse, I'm rational.
Okay, characters and cast and de facto acting and performances and so forth. So we get introduced to some new characters in this episode. I mean, predominantly two. I want to say
Dwayne and the guy who claims to be the bastard brother of King.
Well, I think he's a I mean, there are some periphery. I call him a periphery character. I think the other main character really is the Lord of Harrenhal.
Super chat.
So you got him as well. There's Bethany Antonia, plays one of the princesses.
Damon's daughter.
We got Phil Daniels is on the left, who was in his career sort of started with a movie called Quadrophenia. I've met him, saw him in a play with Danny Webb. So that's the Council of the Inept, I call them. The prince, this guy on the right. One of the things that I am a bit annoyed about is they set up that there was going to be a sort of romantic friction between him and one of the princesses, or that they maybe loved each other. You had that scene where one held the other's hand when they were young.
Right.
And I thought they were going to set something up there. And I would have liked a romance hint between her, either of the girls, probably the one that was leaving. I think the one that was leaving, that would be nice. They could have set something up.
She's kind of young.
They're both young, but the girl that was leaving,
I think she's kind of like too young.
They were betrothed, though. They were betrothed, those two girls, to those two boys. That was in last season. They were lining them up to marry each other so that the houses would be joined. And it wasn't set up that anybody loved each other or anything, but I felt like, they had. I remember I told you the weakest scene was the scene between the guy, the prince and the princess last episode. It didn't really achieve anything, and I wanted it to achieve something. So I felt like if that scene had been better and we'd had another one here, there could have been some stakes there. But listen, it's a minor niggle.
I like this scene.
That's the one when he's coming into the castle.
When he's coming in the castle. I thought that was pretty badass.
The castle's just a shit heap, basically. With no money, there's no wood and all the rest of it. Phoebe Campbell, very good. So, yeah, I was just looking to see if there was a picture of this other character I was thinking of, but maybe not. No, not here. Let's so yeah, the other character is the Lord of Harrenhal. So we see him here. The present Lord of Harrenhal. I love the whole thing about, you know, he provides him with the meal. You're not going to eat it, you know, and then he's worried that it's poisoned.
It's like poison peas.
Yeah, poison peas.
I've survived many a battle, and because I've not eaten poison peas.
Yeah, Simon Russell Beale is Sir Simon Strong. So that's this character here.
What he looks familiar. Which movies has he done?
He's just played an agent in a British drama that I just watched, which we're going to be talking about tomorrow night.
He reminds me of someone in a movie I saw that starred Paul Giamatti called Ironclad.
He was in, I don't know if he was in Ironclad. He was in Death of Stalin, Operation Mincemeat. He played Winston Churchill.
I saw Death of Stalin.
Yeah, he's in Death of Stalin. And he was in Mary Queen of Scots. I mean, he's a National Theatre actor, so his stage experience is vast. He's done huge roles. He was in Penny Dreadful. He played King Lear at the National Theatre Live. He's had parts in Spooks. He was in the BBC miniseries of Dunkirk as Winston Churchill again. So he's played Churchill a couple of times. Yeah. So, I mean, a big portion of his work has been on stage, but he's an extremely gifted actor. I've seen him on stage. Very good actor. Operation Finale he was in as well. That's a good one.
That's about, it stars Ben Kingsley as Adolf Eichmann.
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 Yeah, it does star Ben Kingsley. It's a good film.
Yeah, that was a good movie.
Yeah. Good.
Long, but it was a good movie.
Yeah, good film. And he just did a mini series called Mary and George, in which he played Sir George Villiers. So he likes playing characters with the name Sir in front, and he's now got an actual Sir because he's been knighted. So there you are.
I like this scene, Lance, because they keep calling Damon Prince, and he's like, Your Grace, and like, oh well, we don't call Your Grace the king or the queen. Just I thought as a prince consort, and Damon just looks at him. But still, in Damon's mind, he thinks that he is like Your Grace. Like, no, dude, technically, you're still the prince. You're not the ruler. It's
a good scene because you worry. You sort of there's great tension in it. Darth Plato says the ram has touched the wall. So Alice Rivers is the new Melisandre. Yeah, that's what I think that's the young Melisandre in that dream, because that witch has lived for like hundreds of years, hasn't she? Okay, so can only pick one. Which is the actor for you that is the standout in this episode? You know what? We did this with Band of Brothers. Let's do a poll. So, who gets?
He's an actor or character?
Who gets to do stuff? Who gets to do the most stuff? Well, let's say Matt Smith. I would say. Which actor stands out most in this episode?
I would say Matt Smith also.
It's a big chair made of swords.
It's a big chair. Yeah. It's
such a douchebag.
So we have Matt Smith. We have the I'd say the two queens both get pretty good amount of screen time, do their stuff. So I think
Aegon gets.
We have to include both of them. So that's Emma Darcy and Olivia Cook, isn't it? Yeah.
Also, King Aegon and Sir Criston Cole get a lot of screen time as well.
Yeah, they do. That's true. So Olivia Cook. Yeah. And then I think we can only have 4 though. So who would we say out of got Matt Smith, Emma Darcy, Olivia Cook,
Sir Christian Cole. He has
So
more screen time than King Aegon.
Yeah, he does. It was the King's episode last week, wasn't it? Really?
Yeah. I think this is more Sir Christian Cole's episode.
Yeah, and that's Fabian Frankel. What a name, Fabian.
I don't know why any parent would name their child Fabian.
Well, especially when the surname's Frankel. Okay, chat. So you can vote for one of the following. Which actor stands out most in this episode for their performance? Matt Smith, Emma Darcy, Olivia Cook, or Fabian Frankel. Have to say, all 4 of them give superb performances. Freddie Fox is the newcomer to this episode, playing Sir Gawain. Now, he's the other new character. We have the Lord of Harrenhal, and we've got Freddie Fox's character. He always plays characters like this. Can we have a shot of Sir Gawain up, if you can?
Yep.
If you can give us one. What's this unique scrolling system that we're now?
Yeah, that's why I'm just going through the thumbnails fast.
Yeah, that's right. Alison's brother. Yeah, but we didn't see him though, did we? We didn't. I don't think we saw his face. Yeah, no, I remember Damon beat him in the tourney, but it wasn't Freddie Fox though. I don't think. I might be wrong about that.
At first, he comes off as a prick, but then when Christian Cole saves his life from the princess and the dragon,
yeah, he is immediately grateful.
He starts to change. And Lance, I think you showed a clip of next week's episode.
I did.
He treats Christian Cole a little bit better, like as an equal. Like he's trying to explain to Christian Cole, look, I'm a realist.
Yeah, well, you would hope so, wouldn't you? You would hope so. You would hope so. Let's have a look at our poll. Well, so far it's equal between Matt Smith has got no votes so far. Can you believe that? So there's 13 people watching. We need you all to take part. Do vote for the standout actor for this episode for you from those 4. It may be that you think somebody else, but from those 4. Freddie Fox. He's the son of Edward Fox,
the actor.
Of course, yeah.
I've seen 2 of Edward Fox movies. Edward Fox was in The Bounty. He played one of the judges.
Well, if you're not sure who Edward Fox is,
when you said Edward Fox, I remember he played one of the naval judges on the trial of William Bligh on the movie The Bounty with Anthony Hopkins and Mel Gibson, and he was in Shaka Zulu.
Let's have a quick look.
We've paid for that bridge and we're going to collect.
We're going to fly 35,000 men 300 miles and drop them behind enemy lines. It'll be the largest airborne operation ever mounted. Quite frankly, this kind of thing's never been attempted before. We shall seize the bridges, it's all a question of bridges, with thunderclap surprise, and hold them until they can be secured. And we go next Sunday.
7 days?
The sooner we go, the better. We've got them on the run.
Joseph E. Levine presents A Bridge Too Far. Based on Cornelius Ryan's international bestseller. The story of the most dramatic and devastating battle of World War II.
The plan is called Operation Market Garden. Market is the airborne element, and Garden the ground forces. I like to think of this.
There he is. Blimey, took ages to get to his bit. So that's his dad.
Wow. He looks like you be Edward
did the
Fox,
last 2 lines. You can see the resemblance.
Alive?
Edward Fox is still alive. Yeah, his
must have had him
most
because that boy
victorious.
was way too young to be his son.
His
Edward
most,
Fox has got to be like almost 90.
Yeah, he is. He probably is 90. His most notorious role is the Jackal in the Day of the Jackal. He plays the Jackal, which was remade with Bruce Willis. So you've probably seen the Bruce Willis.
Yeah,
version.
I've seen the remake with Bruce Willis, Sidney Poitier, and Richard Gere.
You should watch the original. The original is way better. I actually didn't mind the Bruce Willis one. I thought it was kind of good, but
I don't think anything could be better than. If there was another version, I don't think anyone could be better than that version of the Jackal.
No, trust me, you need to watch the original. The original is way better. And there's also a new version of it coming out. It's a mini series. Yeah. So
like I said, I've only seen 2 of Edward Fox's movies: The Bounty and Shaka Zulu. So,
right.
Hey Lance, so I do want to ask you, because you know about this kind of stuff. This scene right here, I mean, is this a bunch of puppets, you think, or actors, or is it how they been?
Right,
CG to me.
I'll tell you exactly how this is done. So you have a specialist company. There's a couple of them. In fact, we were talking about this on Band of Brothers last night, because next week we'll be doing the concentration camp episode. So this lad here, down on the bottom left, that's probably a real actor. That'll be a mask, by the way. That one with the sword in. Yeah, that's a mask. That's not a real person. What they've done is they've taken a mask of it. They've made a reconstruction of his head, and put a sword through his neck. So it looks like the guy, but it's not the real guy. That's a model.
Excuse me.
So this guy down the front here. On the left here, that guy's probably a real guy.
Okay.
And then you might have 1 or 2 others, and then all of the rest of these in the foreground will be mannequins.
Wow.
These kind of flexible mannequins that you make up, and you can put different heads on them and things.
Yeah.
And then everything probably from that fence onwards is probably all CG.
It's all right there.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then you've got these would all be props and so on, but a couple see the way they've deliberately put this person's head, so you can see it's a real person. Note that there's a cow here as well, or a horse. That was a horse. Sorry, it's a horse. Look, but that they position that there so you can see that head. But you see this one, see the head's been caved in.
Right there.
Yeah, so that's deliberately done. You can see that's not a real person. This guy, it's like you got to lie there lie there, mate. Make yourself comfortable. Put your foot up there. See, he's in quite a comfortable position because he probably had to lie there for about an hour to do that. So, sorry, Leroy, what were you going to ask?
Yeah, no, I just looked up Edward Fox. He just turned 87 years old in April.
There you go.
His son Freddie just turned 35 in April. So he was 52 when he had Freddie.
Of his generation of actors, there's only I would say there's about 10 of them left. There's Robert Redford.
Yeah.
Elliot Gould. You've got Michael Caine.
Yep. Michael Caine's past 90.
Edward Fox, Gene Hackman.
Clint Eastwood, all past 90.
Yeah, Gene Hackman, right. Clint Eastwood, maybe 1 or 2 others. And there might be a couple of women still around from that generation as well who aren't acting anymore. And Helen Mirren. And she's
not even 80 yet. She's like
she's slightly younger than them.
Yeah.
She was acting at the same time as their latter part of their careers. Anyway,
it says here Edward Fox, he has 3 children with his second wife, Amelia and Freddie. He has 2 last children, 15 years apart. So Freddie is his youngest child, and he's 15 years younger than his sister, who he both had with his second wife.
I've met Amelia. She's lovely. So I mean they're all talented actors. They're all they all play similar characters, often kind of self-entitled rich types. And again, he's playing that sort of character here. Emma Darcy is in the lead at 44%. Matt Smith is now in second place. So the votes are, I need to cast my vote, don't I? So yeah, cast your votes now if you haven't voted yet. Do it now. I love all this stuff. All of these actors are all great as well. They've all got sort of relatively small roles. but they're all great. The Lannister guy is not particularly strategically minded. His focus is very narrow.
Yeah,
he's not a great advisor. Whereas I feel her Maester is a good advisor. He seems to be quite on the ball. And Sir Christian is a very passive hand in terms of advising on the council. He just has got a plan and right, I'm off. See you later.
Yeah.
Whereas the hand really shouldn't be going out leading forces. He needs to stay. He's supposed to be by the side of the king. But I think he doesn't want that job. So that's why he's said, right, well, we're doing this and I'm going to be in charge. Darth Plato has sent another super chat.
Buddy.
Very generous of you, sir. Let me hang on. I need to exit full screen in order to put it up. This is 170 years before Game of Thrones, so Walder Frey should be about middle age, so we might see him. That would be interesting. That would be interesting. Yeah, Shatner. Shatner's another actor that's still around. Yeah, that's true.
And I was wrong, Lance. I've seen 5 of Edward Fox's movies. There's some movies I didn't know he was in. I like Gulliver's Travels with Ted Danson, Gandhi.
Gandhi. Yeah, he plays
Never Say
horrible character in Gandhi.
Never Say Never Again. And
yeah,
I think he was in Nighthawks with Sylvester Stallone and Billy D. Williams as well.
Let's talk about some of the other actors because we're focusing very much on the people.
Sorry, my bad.
No, that's all right. No. But just while we're on this topic, how do we like Sonia Mizuno?
Oh, my girl.
Right. Leroy's getting excited. So what's going on?
Well, I got a thing for Asian girls, so.
Well, she's not Asian.
Yeah, she's Asian. Well, she's part Asian.
Oh yeah, Japanese-born English actress. Okay, yeah, fair enough. She's doing a really interesting accent.
Yeah.
She's doing an accent of the
French.
The girls from Pentos, isn't she? That's good. And then there's a video here all about. You can play this clip. It's all about her. Apparently.
She sounds French, but I mean, if she's single, man, if I ever bump into her.
Okay, you heard it here first. Leroy's future
make her
wife.
Mrs. Leroy Peters.
Well, here you go. You can. Here's a preview of what she would look like in a wedding gown. There you go. So, yeah. So, okay. Big thumbs up to her from Leroy. Blue. How do you like her?
They have a good scene right here because Allison's
acting, not her marriage potential.
No, this scene right here between her and Rhaenyra, because Rhaenyra's like, you could have left. You could have left. You saved my life. She goes, yeah. Why'd you come back for? Because she says to her, I want to place your court, but you showed me mercy and you could have withheld it. The thing is, Rhaenyra could have, in some ways, maybe should have had her killed, and because Rhaenyra let her go and gave her that leniency, she's like, you know what? Then I want to be loyal to you because you showed me mercy, and that's why I saved your life for.
Yeah.
Because remember, she said her and Damon were first pissed off at her, but she's like, listen, I don't care about the Greens or the High Towers. They were just paying me. It's just a job for me. Now she's invested with Rhaenyra because Rhaenyra did spare her life, and she's seen Rhaenyra how kind she is.
I wonder how Damon's going to react when he returns. If he returns.
He will. He's got to return. But yeah, good point though.
Harry Corlett, who plays one of the many princes, he really didn't get to do anything in this episode. I feel like he probably had more dialogue in this episode, but it was cut.
Yeah.
I feel like he may have also had a scene. I would have liked to have seen a scene between the two of them. And I don't know if this is still from a scene that we've seen.
I think that's still from the first episode.
Yeah, it could be. I think it probably is. But I mean, he's a fairly decent actor, but he hasn't had a scene that's like pushed him yet.
No,
he hasn't had a chance to show us his emotional range. I would like to see him do more. So this is when that is actually the same actor, by the way, that they've just made him look really young and given him a different haircut. These are the
Yeah,
same.
I think this was in season 1, the first season.
This is in season 1. Yeah, that's right. But this was the whole thing when it's very much set up that the four of them are, kind of going to end up together.
I'm sorry, those girls do not look. I'm sorry, those girls are not pretty.
Well, yeah, that's all subjective, Leroy. It's working for me. So, yeah, but I'd like to see him do more. It would be nice to see what he does with a really meaty scene. I feel like we haven't really seen what he can do yet, and I'm sure he's good because he's got a pretty substantial acting credits behind him.
Yeah, because right now his character doesn't. Well, in terms of the
story, they're not really. He's getting a little bit, but he's not getting a lot. And the one scene he did get last episode was I thought that scene was quite poorly written. I stand by that.
Yeah.
It's the only scene that really felt a bit naff. But I felt like it was chopped. It felt like it was edited. So they were like, yeah, let's get this scene as short as we can. Forget that storyline. Let's get rid of that. I just feel like there's stuff with him and a princess that's missing, and I'm sure it was shot and it's not here. It kind of annoys me. So,
like you said, Lance, Rhaenyra's like, the dragons, they're young and vulnerable. Plus, once they're like, the size of a cat, they can't ride them or they can't really do anything. The dragons do need time to grow.
Yeah. We get Anthony Flanagan in this episode again, who is a fantastic actor. I've also met him a long time ago now. I think when I was doing the Hillsborough play in Liverpool, if I remember. That's my favorite shot in this episode, by the way.
I love a beautiful sunset.
Well, if you watch any of my films, it's a Lance thing that if there can be a sunset in the movie, there will be one. So, and my last film opens and closes on the sunset. This is Anthony Flanagan, who escorts he's like the Queen's personal bodyguard almost. But he's also on her council. He's a great actor. He's got great presence. You should see him on stage. He's amazing. Really, really good actor. Be nice to see him get to do a bit more. He's another character. He's another actor I feel should be being given more to do because he's got an amazing amount of ability. Vincent Regan is also in this episode, and I barely notice him. He's playing Sir Rickard Thorne, who is on one of the councils. I think he's kind of covered in beard. So let's see if there's a picture of him. So you guys would know him because he's been in like things like 300.
So many people are in 300.
Well, this is him in 300. So he's this guy in 300.
I remember him. I've seen him in a lot of movies.
Yeah, he's been in loads. He's
I saw Black Knight.
Yeah, he's in
He's also in Troy with Brad Pitt.
Oh, good point.
Yeah. There's shots of him in Troy, Bonded by Blood. Yeah, and loads of people that work.
In fact, Troy is the only movie I thought Brad Pitt should have been nominated and won an Oscar for his role as a killer.
I thought Troy could have been better. The director's cut of Troy is way better than the original.
Really? I've never seen it.
Yeah.
I saw it only once.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I'm surprised there's no pictures of his work on House of Dragon here. Yeah, there he is.
Troy right here.
But he's in this, and you wouldn't know it. You wouldn't know he was in this because he's got like maybe a line. And again, he's a phenomenal talent. He's kind of being a bit wasted, which is a bit of a shame. But I get it's a big ensemble piece. It's a large cast. It's great that they've got powerhouse actors in even tiny roles, which just goes to show.
I think they did that in Game of Thrones too. They had a lot of famous musicians. Like Chris Stapleton was country music singer. Chris Stapleton was in the 8th season.
Well, they had what's his name? They had the Ginger Terror in it, didn't they? They had the redhead guy.
Oh, Sharon.
Yeah, Ed Sheeran. As a red cloak, do me a favor.
Yeah, that was because what's her name? The girl who played Arya. She's a big fan of his music. That's why.
Right, and I know Thomas Turgoose was in that scene. I actually liked that scene. That was one of the better scenes in the I think that scene was in the final season, wasn't it? Or either season 7 or season 8.
It was 7. Yeah.
Right, it was one of the better scenes in season 7. I actually liked it as a scene to see like just a load of those soldiers kind of talking and about the war and stuff. Let's pop this back up. Does anybody want to shout out any other actor that we haven't mentioned? I've still got a couple more actually to mention
Not that,
myself.
not off the top of my head.
Yeah.
I'm just glad Otto Hightower is no longer.
Oh, hey, trust me, he's coming back.
Yeah.
They did take out my boy from Warrior that I told you about, the blacksmith.
Yeah.
He's not in this episode.
No, the blacksmith. No, that we didn't see those brothers. They're not in here. I've mentioned Bethany Antonia and Phoebe Campbell as the Lady Baylor and Lady Rhaenyra. They're both great. Fia Saban, we haven't talked about. Queen Helena Targaryen.
She's kind of cute too.
Yeah,
I looked her up.
Leroy, this is not about whether they're cute. We're talking more about the acting ability. I mean, you can mention that as well, but this is about the acting ability and the characters they're playing. But also on Leroy's hit list. Okay, cool. Fia,
she's 25.
Yeah, she's a good actress, I think. Quite hard to sort of. She's not got a lot to work with, is she, in her scenes?
No, she only has one scene in the entire episode.
She has only got one scene in the entire episode. It's pretty short. She says something significant in that scene. Do you remember the line? It was quite sort of. It was a future telling thing. It was like a hint. It was like another Easter egg. Someone in chat will remember.
You know, I'm looking her up on Wikipedia. She's only done. She has no movies. She's only done 3 shows: Christabel, The Last Kingdom, and House of Dragons. She's never done any feature films or anything like that.
Yeah, she's done 10. Yeah, but she's done 10 episodes of The Last Kingdom. So pretty good. Pretty good to start. Yeah, no, probably a bit of stage work, I think.
Well, I'd love to meet her in person.
Yeah, I think she might have done a play at the Royal Court, but I could be wrong. Not sure. Anyway, okay. Yeah, but she's good. I mean, there's no bad actors in this.
No.
Matthew Needham as Clubfoot is, I mean, you want to club him with a foot, so he's Tom Glyn Carney. We talked about extensively last week, so I won't keep lavishing him with praise, but he is great. Freddie Fox we've mentioned. So Jefferson Hall, who plays Sir Tyland Lannister, perfectly fine.
Ancestor of the evil twins, Cersei and Jaime Lannister.
I like the fact that he's not
at the end of season 8.
Yeah, but he's not like Tywin, though, is he? So this must be Tywin Lannister's father, because Tyland and Tywin are not the same character. This isn't what's his name when he's younger, is it? Because he wouldn't live that long.
Yeah, I mean, this is 170 years.
Yeah. So he must be either the father or the grandfather of Sir Tywin Lannister,
or great grandfather.
I think probably grandfather, because Sir Tywin Lannister's pretty old. Sir Tywin is in like his 60s or 70s in Game of Thrones.
Yeah. So
if his grandfather, it could be his grandfather or his great grandfather. But I like the fact that he's Sir Tywin Lannister is super intelligent, ruthless. This guy is a bit more. He's not the greatest tactician. I kind of like that they're not playing him the same, because they're not the same. Generations are always different. You know, you don't get 3 great kings in a row. Do you know what I mean? All right. Well, I think we've shouted out all the cast. Emma Darcy and Olivia Cook, of course, on amazing form, as always. Really, really growing on me as these actors. Tywin's father was Tytos. Look, Darth Plato knows all the tidbits. This is why you should be on here, mate.
He probably read the books.
Yeah, well, I would imagine so.
Yeah, then I just watched the scene between Alicent and her daughter. I mean, she just basically says, "Mama, forgive you." You know, that's about it. That's the gist of the scene.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, babies die all the time.
Let's move on.
The Corliss and I like this scene. I love a little romance, especially between a couple who've been married as long as they have. You know,
she doesn't want him to go. Basically, she's afraid he's gonna.
They're devoted to each other.
Yeah. No, I like that. So,
kind of reminds me of my parents.
Leroy, do you know what? You could go to Game of Thrones cosplay, like conventions, and you could do this guy. You could get a big hairpiece. You could be this guy.
I'll get clowned by my cousin and his sons big time.
Well, don't dress up in front of them. Wait till you get to the convention hotel room and do it there.
Nah,
mate. There'll be lots of trust me. At Game of Thrones conventions, there's going to be a lot of really cool nerdy chicks, man. You want to?
I'm not a nerd.
You go there with those. You go there with them, braids on. You're gonna.
Well, first of all, I'm not a nerd, so those conventions aren't my thing.
Even better.
And plus, I'm 5'5". I'm too short to play 90% of these guys on the show. So,
okay. With that said, let's move on to
tonight.
That's the wrong one. Let me scroll down. I'm sorry, that's Band of Brothers. Let's move on to this.
The horrors I have just loose.
Okay, so don't forget visual effects and special effects are not the same thing. So special effects are practical effects like blowing things up, setting things on fire, gunshots, all of that stuff, explosions and so on. Visual effects are things like dragons.
I thought the visual effects, I thought it was pretty. The CGI is pretty good, especially when it comes to the dragons.
The dragons in this look excellent. I mean, these are probably the best dragons in a fantasy film I've ever seen. Funnily enough, the one thing I remember about that pretty dreadful early 2000s Dungeons and Dragons film, then there's like a big sort of dragon battle at the end. I actually thought the CGI dragons in that were pretty good, but I bet if I watch it now, compare it to these, they probably look absolutely terrible.
Remember that movie? I think it came out in 2000, starring Christian Bale and Matthew McConaughey, called Reign of Fire.
I love that movie.
That's a pretty good film. That I kind of like that film.
Yeah, that was the first time I even heard of Christian Bale.
Really?
Yeah, I forgot he was in Shaft with
Yes.
He played the bad guy.
Yeah, but he
has only read the first Game of Thrones.
He was great in Reign of Fire, and I thought the storyline was pretty good, dealing with dragons in a more of a post-apocalyptic type way.
Yeah.
So I thought that's one of my favorite movies starring Christian Bale and Matthew McConaughey.
Well, I loved sticking with visual effects. I love the. Let's talk about the visual effects first. The visual effects, the dragons in this are amazing. I want to find out who the visual effects supervisor is and give them an appropriate shout out. And trust me, it's going to be a huge list. So visual effects. Well, you've got one company called Pixamondo. Then you've got Weta Effects. So Weta are doing some stuff. Who did Lord of the Rings. So the two main companies are Weta, but there's also a company called MPC. So I would imagine you've got Zoic Studios. That's another visual effects supervisor. That would be in Spain. Rodeo Effects. So you've got about 4 effects companies working on this, but the two biggest would be Weta and Pixamondo. So the head of the visual effects supervisor is probably working for Pixamondo, and they have done a very good job. Let's have a quick look and see if they've got a website, because I quite like to have a peruse. Pixamondo VFX. Such a shame that my late friend Alan Marks is no longer with us, because we could have had him pop on, and talk about this kind of stuff. But I'm hoping to get Steve Begg on. Yep. So I guess correct. I said Pixamondo. See, what will happen is one effects house will be in charge of stuff like CGI buildings, all of that kind of thing. And then you'll have another effects house will probably do dragons and nothing else. They'll build 3D models of the dragons so that they move properly and all of that kind of thing. So this is the Pixamondo website. and sure enough, in their reel of various effects, you'll see a Game of Thrones dragon in this reel. There you go. And there's another shot of one further on. And there's another shot of one. So they're very much doing the dragon effects, but they've also done effects work on Oblivion for Tom Cruise. The effects,
and they worked on The Mandalorian. I just recognized, Razor Crest.
Yeah, there you go. It's another dragon. That dragon was from the original Game of Thrones. Very capable effects studio with a vast level of experience. I haven't seen this. What is that thing with like moth people? Is that some sort of superhero thing?
John Wick.
Yeah, John Wick. Yeah, there you go. So that I'm seeing shots of stuff that I've not seen, and I'm thinking, oh, I want to watch this. What is this? So yeah, there's the effects. That would have been Midway, I think. That shot.
Midway was a good movie.
I enjoyed that. It'd be good to do it.
Oh, that was Halo.
Yeah, some of the TV shows as well, Lance.
Yeah, Halo.
Yeah, Halo was good.
Yeah, I haven't watched the Halo TV show. I mean, people were very divided on it, but
it just completed its second season.
Yeah,
I'm kind of indifferent about watching it at the time.
Well, The Boys definitely has good gore.
It came out in the middle of all my personal shit going on, and my attentions were elsewhere, so I missed quite a lot of releases around that time. There we go. So yeah, this is Pixelmondo. What a great effects house. So they're definitely doing the dragons, and Weta are probably doing things like castles, because they've got a lot of experience of that. So what they're probably doing is taking plate shots of various bits of landscape and then building model castles and then inserting the plate shots of those model castles onto what would be like your foreground plate, etc., that kind of thing. So yeah, but pretty fantastic reel, has to be said. There you go. All right, let's cut back to this.
So Lance, I did want to ask you, like, obviously, she's not flying a dragon, but like, is the wind effects, but like this shot looks like, objectively, like she's actually flying. Like, I thought
it was really good. I thought the actress,
I mean, just the way that
did a really convincing performance of, making us believe she was in the air searching for the enemy.
Yeah,
I was very impressed because she was very invested in this scene, and don't forget that's an actress basically on top of a kind of fake hobby horse type deal.
Yeah.
With a green screen acting to a tennis ball, probably. It's not like they really flew her in a helicopter or something. To simulate the experience.
I wouldn't want to be. I wouldn't want to be her boyfriend because she might feed into a dragon.
Well, that's entirely possible. Entirely possible. But Leroy, you're only 5'5", and I think dragons only eat people over 5'11" because it's not substantial enough. Otherwise, you'll be all right, I think. So, yeah, I was kind of wondering what was going to happen there. That was a good scene. Good scene.
It's just the way, like, the camera was looking down. You see, like, I guess because from the back of her head, from a point of view, the way she's like circling around, it looks so realistic. Where I'm like, wow, because it's like, I mean, it's almost like, are they putting her, like, are they having like a drone show the forest and basically they insert her with on top of the drone footage, or because it looks like she's actually
the POV footage of the forest is either that's either a plate shot of real woods,
okay,
that would have been shot with a drone. Or it's an enhanced plate shot with CGI. I think that's probably real woods that's shot with a drone.
Okay.
And then the dragon is added.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and that POV that you're getting as it's turning is the drone footage. So yeah, it's good. What a cool role for a young actress to play. Hey, you get to fly a dragon in the show. I mean, that's pretty cool, isn't it?
On top of the CG,
put in your CV skills, horse riding, dragon back,
Well, even like Lance, for my intro for last week for our Losers Lounge, while looking at some Game of Thrones footage, if you look at Daenerys' dragons in like season 2, man, at the time, look at that CGI compared to this CGI. That's only been like 10 years, but like the CGI in Game of Thrones, the first 3 seasons was pretty rough compared to this.
Well, it was good, but yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Can you get the scene up with when Damon first arrives at Harrenhal?
Yeah, it's a good scene.
The shots of the castle while we're talking about VFX.
Yeah, it's cool too how it was a nighttime scene, which you know that CG is usually easier to film at nighttime, but
yeah, so that's probably done by Weta, that one. And that is almost certainly an actual model of a castle that they've built. So if you just play it for a little bit, see the way you're rotating around it.
Mhm.
That's all done by an electronically planned camera. Again,
Wow.
this would be augmented with CGI. So
Yeah.
those towers may be built slightly bigger or whatever. But that I'm going to guess that's probably a real castle model that's been built. So because that's how they built Helm's Deep. They also had a model version of it. They had 3 scales of it actually. And the same with Minas Tirith. So here's the Weta website. There you go. Everyone's favorite movie, Avatar 2.
I mean, but in terms of CGI and mocap, Avatar 2 is,
I haven't seen Avatar 2. I saw first Avatar, but I never.
But I didn't hate
I wasn't
Avatar
feeling the
as
first
much as everyone else. It could have been 20 minutes shorter. Definitely could have been 20 minutes shorter.
Well,
but I was perfectly happy to go back to Pandora and see more cool creatures. And
I had some blue liquor lamps. I was in heaven. I'm like, oh my god, it's so beautiful.
Well, very good for you. Was there any other? Okay, that's visual effects. Let's talk about special effects. There's not many things in terms of people blowing up or anything like that in this episode.
There wasn't much.
No one's been set on fire. But production design, art direction, also really nice. All good stuff, I thought. Really liked. We haven't got a separate category for this, but I really did like the cinematography in this episode. And the cinematographer in this episode was Catherine Goldschmidt. And she has just 3 episodes of House of Dragon, but she's got 51 DOP credits in total. She's done 3 episodes of Doctor Who, several shorts, and a show called Discovery of Witches, which I've not seen, another show called Chloe, which I've not seen, and Renegade Nell. Yes, I saw Renegade Nell, the first 2 episodes. It was quite good, but I just didn't get around to watching the rest of it. She's done a great job on this episode, so let's give her a appropriate shout out. Here she is. Most DOPs always like having a shot of them somewhere on their CV with an absolutely massive camera with tons of buttons and big lenses and monitors and all that kind of stuff. So here is Catherine. Here she is again with another very big camera and looking more glamorous and then here we are on set. So fantastic job on this. Really liked the DOP, the cinematography. Art direction, costumes, all good. Nothing particularly new. Some stuff with the new characters. The sets, the internal sets of Harrenhal are pretty nice. Like all the details about the decay, like the way the guy had the busted throne.
Yeah.
That's another good visual shot, by the way.
Yeah.
That might be Weta. That might be Weta that did.
So
that.
how much digital? I mean, I'm assuming that the troops down here are, but like, is there? You think is the front of this right here?
I think this might be a model of the wall, maybe.
Okay.
That could be a miniature, but it's really difficult to tell. All the stuff behind it's all CG.
Okay, and then the shot right here.
It's interesting as well, isn't it? The way that they've made King's Landing. You can tell it's the same city, but it is also different, as it's not as big because it's it's going to expand in the next 100 years and 170 years, so it's not as big.
I mean,
but there are things you can recognize, like the key church, like one of the smaller churches with a bell tower that was destroyed by Rhaenyra. That's there.
By Daenerys.
Daenerys, sorry. They all the names sound the same. Getting them confused. Cool. Okay. Anything else to add about any of the visual effects, production design, sets, all of that artsy stuff? Anyone? Any further comment?
Yeah, like you said, I mean, just excellent wide shots. You know,
it's got a very epic feel. I love that about it. We call that a true sense of scale.
Yeah.
And Catherine did a great job of like framing these shots. You know, yeah. Now this is a really good example of Richard Attenborough was a director. Now go back to that previous shot. Richard Attenborough was a director that did this in a lot of shots, and you can see it in a lot of shots in Bridge Too Far. So now the one with the guy standing, the one he shot after this, so you've got a guy standing guard on the foreground. There you go, that's the one. Right. So you got what you call your foreground action. You got this guy, and then you have these people coming along the road, which is where that scene takes place. A lot of this stuff added here is CG, and of course these ships are CG. But basically, you've got background action, foreground action, and midground action going on in that shot. So there's loads to see. I love that. Everything's telling a story there. You know, this is telling us about the fisherman boats that come in and out of the city on a regular basis. These are the little kind of convoys that go back and forth with supplies and things coming into the city. Spices from the west, and you know, or porn from Pentos. The latest scriptures, all that kind of stuff. So it's it's great.
Well, yeah, that's means all the small details, because they mentioned in previous episode with blockades, with Corley's having a fleet, like, you know, these cities like New York City. You know, New York City, nothing grows there, nothing's made, everything's brought in.
Yeah,
you have to have established trades, you have to have fishermen, you have to have outside, because when a big massive city with just castles, okay, well, there's nothing to grow there. You can't. There's no livestock. It's just massive stone buildings.
Well, before we wrap up, let's cover this topic. Well, we kind of mentioned memorable lines earlier, but your favorite scene or most memorable moment in this episode, do you have one? If so, what was it? Leroy, you can
I have to say my favorite scenes when Damon arrived at Harrenhal and claimed the castle. I thought the way he entered was pretty badass. He came in with his sword, and he showed no fear. He was cautious, but he showed no fear. He said, and he was prepared for anything. So I kind of like that.
Good scene. Yeah. Blue.
Honestly, the first scene with Rhaenys and Rhaenyra, just because Rhaenys throughout this episode she's giving sage advice, and said, like I told you before, Lance, that line where she talks about you know, like the gods hate kinship fighting, but just she brings her in where it's like, you know, little boy dies, your kid dies, okay, the king's this, Aegon's eyes cut out, just she has to, you know, show Rhaenyra, like, you know, we're in so deep right now, but like this is really serious and it's getting out of hand, this war.
Yeah, so this scene here for you.
Yeah.
It's a good choice. Good choice. Man, for me it's pretty hard, because I love this scene. As Leroy mentioned earlier, it's a like really nice, personal, intimate, romantic moment between these two characters. Not a very long scene.
And the thing is, I agree with you. And the thing is, this is a couple who've been married for what, over 20 years, maybe more.
It just says so much about them with so little. It's very economical, but it's really, really well done. I like the way they set it up with the timbers and the location. I like this scene as well. I really like this scene. Emma Darcy and Phoebe Campbell. Phoebe Campbell gets more to do, so she gets to show her acting chops a bit, which it was really nice to see her get to do some stuff. It's got a lot of stakes with the dragon's eggs, and so, you know, the two boys, the lovely moment where the boy puts the hand round the mother, doesn't want to let her go. You know, I really liked that sequence. The scene with this girl, Bethany Antonia, playing, is it Lady Rhaenyra? I forget, all the names are very similar. But when she's hunting with the dragon is a really good scene. I love the council scenes, but not as much as those. This scene where he's being manipulated by Clubfoot is really good, but we've kind of seen it already. Yeah, and then of course we got the scene with them at the end.
That's my least favorite scene.
This scene is nice as well with the two sisters. I like. It's nice they got this moment because I have a feeling they're not going to see each other again.
Yeah.
Actually, I think this is the last time they see each other, so it's good that they gave them that. Oh, Mr. Creepy Clubfoot. Yeah, I mean, don't know.
The ending between Rhaenyra and Alicent, that's my least favorite scene. Because, like I said,
it's a good scene, but it's not as
it's not realistic. I mean, in reality, Alicent would probably ratted out Rhaenyra right then and
well,
there.
you say that, but I think that's to show you that actually, you know, even you think she's conniving and evil and all about that is to show you that she really thought this is what the king said, so she feels justified. Now she's saying, no, it's not about that. You've made a mistake. So now she knows maybe she did make a mistake, but she can't admit to it. It's too far. She's in too deep. But I think she's actually can't bring herself to grasp on her friend.
And that's what's annoying me about Rhaenyra. She's too naive. Even if everyone knew that the king wanted her on the throne, it's too little, too late. Too many innocent people have died, and too many loyalties on both sides. They're thirsting for blood. So,
well, yeah, I'm gonna.
It's starting to annoy me.
Well, I'm gonna pick this. I'm gonna pick this as my favorite. This one. I like all the stakes. I like the little moments. I like the bit with the kid. Dragon's eggs. You know, it's interesting. It's like, okay, what's going to happen with these guys? This boat. There's a lot of goods on this boat. A lot of money on that boat. You know. So yeah, good stuff. Okay. So, well, we're going to wrap it up there with our ratings out of 10. I'm going to go first this week. I'm going to give it a 10. It's a 10 for me. There's nothing that they did wrong. All the action across the board is excellent. Visual effects are excellent. Production design is excellent. The dialogue is fucking awesome. I love the dialogue. There's some really good shots, some really good set pieces. We've set up the stakes, so the stakes are massive in the show now. Definitely a 10 for me. I would like to have seen the prince have a bit more something with the prince and the princesses, but I'm not going to knock off a point for that because that could still come. But it feels like maybe that was a storyline that didn't work in the editing, and maybe that's why we're not seeing it. So that could be the case. Difficult to know. But a 10 for me.
I'll go with 9, just because, yeah, like I love the cinematography shots. I like the dragons, what we saw, and as you guys said, man, there's so many. Boy, between Rhaenyra's got stuff going on, being a queen and a mother, and trying to filter out peace with Alicent and just stuff with Daemon. But everybody's doing something. Nobody in this show phones it in. Nobody has bad dialogue. Some characters get less screen time, but nobody does a bad job. And yeah, I mean, it's I don't want to give everything 10 out of 10, but I'll go to good solid 9.
I give it 9.5 out of 10. And what both you guys said, I agree with 100%. My only problem is Rhaenyra, the way she's not acting like a leader. The naivety, she fails to realize it's too late for peace. The naivety, and from I guess because as a veteran who lived through 9/11, I'm being careful because I don't want to get into politics or anything. But one of the reasons why I like about President Bush is that when 9/11 went down, he was not naive. He knew what needed to be done, and he did it. Rhaenyra is acting the opposite. She reminds me of all the anti-Bush, pro-peace people who still wanted to hold out for peace when we just got bombed on 9/11. So she needs to basically act like a President Bush. Grow
All right, Leroy skating very close to the political ejector seat button there, Leroy.
All right, man.
So,
9.5 out of 10 for me.
We'll leave that there. I could get into the whole weapons of mass destruction bullshit narrative that was spun. But we'll leave that there.
Well, like I said, I was being careful not to get into politics because I was just using that as an example. Why giving that?
I think Darth Plato likes not this example. So there's a link for Leroy's books on Amazon, which I put in the chat. You can check out one of them there, and that'll also get you to the rest of them. Blue, what have you got coming up? We're doing the Nielsen ratings tomorrow.
Yes, and also
a few things to talk about there. I think we've got one new guest coming on tomorrow as well. So who hasn't been on before.
Yeah, but we're looking forward to trying to get a big panel on. We're still trying at the times down, Lance, but you figure if we start off July, start off with one of the best comedies of all time.
We're doing Team America tomorrow.
Yep, Team America.
There you go, Leroy. You can get on Blue's Team America stream.
Well, semi-stream. Oh, it's fun. I'm glad you mentioned what was you guys doing tomorrow night?
Nielsen.
We're doing the Nielsen ratings, but before that, he's doing Team America.
I just recently saw. It's not a new movie. It came out in 2021. One of those straight-to-video movies called Dangerous, starring Scott Eastwood and Mel Gibson. Scott Eastwood is Clint Eastwood's son.
Yeah,
right. So it was a pretty good movie. I liked it. It's called Dangerous.
Okay, we will check that out in due course. Blue, apart from stuff you're doing tomorrow and the stuff you're doing with me on Tuesday, and the fact that we're also doing Band of Brothers on Sunday,
and the Accolade too.
What other stuff you got coming up? Anything else?
No, it's me, my cousin. Because I do this for you and Leroy, but she's massive into the books. All the questions you guys had, she's working, but I'll ask her the same questions. So I'm going to do another recording, my cousin, when she gets home, because it's always fun to just hear about little tidbits from the book.
Okay, we're gonna end the poll in just a second, guys. So if you're gonna vote on the poll, vote now. Okay, so I've got 3 guests, industry interviews lined up for the month of July so far. Can you believe it's the 1st of July already?
It's
Can
the
you
first
believe
of the month.
1st of July.
Got your checks and come
So
on.
one of them is producer, director, and writer of many a sci-fi fantasy B-movie in the 1980s and 1990s, and he's still going. And that is Charles Band, who did, among other things, he did Zone Troopers, Trancers. If you go onto the guy's IMDb, you're going to see over 400 credits there. This guy is a legend. I can't wait to interview him. It's going to be fascinating. I don't know how long I'm going to get him on for, but however long I'm going to have him for is not going to be long enough. That's his IMDb in the chat right now. So
if you ever interview Mel Gibson, please let me know.
Mel
Gibson or Denzel Washington.
I think that's unlikely. Also coming on this month is actress Maluna Jackson, who some people will know from Animal Kingdom. You might have seen her in How to Get Away with Murder. She is an absolutely fantastic actress. I followed her career since I saw her in Chicago PD about 6 years ago. But you might have seen her more recently in How to Get Away with Murder. She was in one of the recent seasons. She's got an amazing range of credits. One of the most talented actresses working today. I would argue there's a very strong chance you're going to see her win an Oscar in her lifetime. I certainly hope so. She's done an incredible range of characters as well, and worked with some of the best actors in the industry. So do check that out. That's going to be in the first half of July. As soon as the date is confirmed with her, it will be on the channel. But she's done such an interesting range of work. I can't wait to interview her. So it's going to be fantastic. Okay. So with that, we're going to be signing out. But we're going to sign out a little bit differently this time. We're going to sign out with this.